The sheriff's SUV fishtailed in my driveway while two EMTs hiked past my azaleas with a stretcher, because according to 911, I was barricaded, violent, and breeding illegal goats. At the base of my stone steps stood Clarissa Rook, HOA president of Echo Summit Estates, arms folded, ski visor reflecting the chaos around us. She turned to the deputies with a smile that could freeze water and said in a voice dripping with confidence, "Call anyone you want. I own them." My name is Nolan Graves, a quietly boring technical writer who bought a glass and timber place above Silver Pine Pass to be left alone with espresso and long emails. Echo Summit Estates looked like a postcard when I first arrived. Blue spruces lined the streets, tasteful mailboxes stood at attention, and the covenant binder they handed me at closing was thick enough to stun a deer. The rules seemed reasonable at first glance. Keep your lawn trimmed. No commercial vehicles. Exterior paint from an approved palette. Standard suburban stuff. Clarissa introduced herself on moving day by measuring my grass with a ruler shaped like a scepter and informing me that my front door was an outlaw shade of charcoal. The approved color was graphite mist. My door was smoky graphite. I stared at the paint chips she thrust at me and honestly could not tell the difference. But I nodded politely, repainted the door within a week, and went back to minding my business. That was mistake number 1. Serenity reads like rebellion to professional pot stirrers, and Clarissa Rook was a master of her craft. She did not want compliance. She wanted submission. And my quiet cooperation felt like defiance to someone who fed on confrontation. The letters started arriving within a month. Unapproved wind chimes. Hostile garbage can. Snow with attitude. I wish I was exaggerating. She sent me an email at 6 in the morning about defiant icicles hanging from my roof, claiming they pointed aggressively toward the street. I caught her crouched behind my rhododendrons one afternoon, photographing my recycling bin for what she later called unpermitted cardboard volume. She had a measuring tape. For cardboard. She actually trespassed onto my property to stick a violation notice on my heated driveway because the snow was melting in a non-uniform pattern that she claimed lowered community morale. The notice included a hand-drawn diagram showing where my snow should have melted versus where it actually melted. Then she escalated to a whole new level. Anonymous Facebook posts accused me of renting rooms to snowboarder gangs. It was my nephew visiting for a weekend. One guy. 23 years old. Allergic to gangs. He wore khakis. She left me a voicemail timed exactly 1 minute after midnight claiming that per bylaw 8.4, my doorbell tone was menacing and potentially triggering to neighbors with anxiety. It was the default chime that came with the house. The same chime installed in 40% of homes in America. I started keeping a folder. Every letter. Every email. Every unhinged complaint. I did not know why yet, but instinct told me I would need it. Clarissa decided that rules were moving too slowly for her taste. Power tasted better when served neat and immediate. She sent an email to the entire HOA board, and I later discovered she had forged every single signature to levy $12,400 in emergency serenity assessments against my property. Her reasoning? My chimney telegraphed unrest into the neighborhood. Apparently smoke from my fireplace curled in a way that suggested discontent. She filed an official nuisance complaint with the county claiming my security lights blinked Morse code threats at passing cars. The county inspector came out, tested my lights, and found they were motion activated and functioned exactly as designed. Clarissa called him incompetent to his face. When that complaint went nowhere, she called 911 and told them I was keeping aggressive livestock and stockpiling an arsenal of snow shovels in my garage. The dispatcher asked what kind of livestock. Goats, Clarissa said with absolute certainty. Illegal goats. Possibly armed goats. I do not own goats. I do not even like goats particularly. But facts had stopped mattering weeks ago. Then came the nuclear option. She used a fake fire marshal letter, complete with an official-looking seal and bureaucratic language about structural integrity and immediate danger to public safety, to red tag my entire home as uninhabitable. She printed it on county letterhead she must have copied from somewhere. She even included a case number that sounded legitimate. She marched up to my front door with a clipboard posse of confused neighbors she had somehow rallied and tried to evict me from my own porch. She slapped a scarlet sticker on my door like a discount tag on dignity and announced with absolute authority that my home was now under temporary HOA custody until such time as I could prove compliance with unspecified safety standards. I asked to see the original fire marshal report. She told me it was sealed for legal reasons. I asked which legal reasons. She said I would find out when my lawyer contacted me, which would be difficult since I would be homeless. Here is the thing about small mountain towns. The sheriff's office actually knows people. Deputy Mendez took one look at the fire marshal signature on Clarissa's letter and his eyebrows went up. He recognized it immediately because the real fire marshal, who happened to be his sister-in-law, signs documents like a drunken spider. Years of carpal tunnel. Her signature looks like a seismograph during an earthquake. This signature looked like a computer font. Clean. Perfect. Suspiciously uniform. Fake. While Clarissa performed for the gathered deputies, announcing loudly that she was basically government-adjacent and had connections at every level of local administration, Deputy Mendez asked me gently if I happened to have security cameras. I did. 4 of them. High definition. Cloud backup. The footage was beautiful. It showed Clarissa trespassing multiple times over 3 weeks, peeling my legitimate city building permit off the meter box and replacing it with one of her violation notices, prying open my HOA-compliant mailbox, which is a federal offense, to leave a final notice with fees that rounded suspiciously well to even hundreds. She had even tried my door handle twice to see if it was unlocked. Deputy Mendez radioed the actual fire marshal while we watched. 10 minutes later, the verdict came through on speakerphone loud enough for everyone to hear. Not only was my red tag completely fake, but the official seal had been clipped directly from a PDF on the county website. Anyone with basic computer skills could have done it. The case number she invented did not exist in any county system. My home had never been inspected, flagged, or even mentioned in any fire safety report. Clarissa's face went through a slow freeze-thaw cycle as the reality set in. Her ski visor slipped down over her eyes. She pushed it back up with a shaking hand. Everything unraveled at avalanche speed after that. The actual HOA board members arrived looking grim and tight-lipped. 3 of them lived on my street. They had no idea what was happening. Turns out Clarissa had been electronically signing their votes for months using a Gmail account called Board Action Now. She had created fake email addresses for each board member with slightly altered names and had been conducting entire meetings by herself. Nobody had authorized anything. Not the assessments. Not the violation notices. Not the emergency meetings she claimed had been called to discuss my dangerous chimney smoke. The county attorney showed up wearing a windbreaker that said "Not today" across the back. He had a reputation. Deputy Mendez started listing charges while Clarissa stood there frozen. Mailbox tampering, which is federal and carries up to 5 years. Filing false emergency reports, which is a felony in our state. Criminal impersonation for forging the fire marshal signature. Forgery for the board's signatures. Garden variety trespass. Harassment. Fraud. Attempted extortion for the $12,000 assessment. As the deputy worked through the list, Clarissa tried her final spell. She drew herself up to full height, adjusted her visor, and said in a voice that expected immediate obedience, "I own you people. This is my neighborhood. I make the rules here. You have no idea who you are dealing with." At that exact moment, the wind caught her ski visor like a sail. It flew off her head, tumbled through the air in slow motion, hit the hood of her Audi, and set off the car alarm. The alarm sound? It played my default doorbell chime through the parking sensors. Some kind of proximity alert feature. The irony was so perfect I almost laughed. The stretcher the EMTs had lugged up my stone steps expecting to haul out a violent hermit? They ended up using it to carry down Clarissa's 3-ring binder of violations as evidence. The thing weighed as much as an alpaca. It had tabs, color coding, a table of contents. She had been documenting my imaginary crimes for months. Clarissa Rook pled guilty to a tasteful bouquet of charges in county court 3 months later. Her lawyer had tried to negotiate. Claimed she was under stress. Overworked. Misunderstood her authority. The prosecutor brought my security footage. Brought the fake documents. brought testimony from 14 other homeowners who had been similarly harassed, fined, and threatened over the past 3 years. Turns out I was not special. I was just the first one who had cameras and kept records. The judge, who according to local lore was a former HOA victim himself from a community 2 counties over, looked almost pleased as he delivered the sentence. 2 years of probation with strict conditions. A $25,000 restitution order to be paid to every homeowner she had assessed creatively over the past 4 years. The list was long. 200 hours of community service cleaning the county animal shelter, which felt beautifully ironic given her panic over my supposedly illegal goats. She would be scooping literal waste while thinking about the metaphorical waste she had made of her authority. And a 5-year ban from holding any homeowners association leadership position within the entire state. The judge added that if she violated probation, she would serve 18 months in county jail. When he finished reading the sentence, Clarissa stood there in her designer suit, mouth open, ski visor clutched in one trembling hand like a talisman that had lost its power, and for the first time since I had met her, she had absolutely nothing to say.